All right. Welcome to another episode of the Fair Chase podcast. I'm here with my partner in crime, Jared, Aim
Hello.
Small, Miss Small, Gortzma.
That's
And
right.
today we have Heath Wood on as a guest. Heath, thanks for taking some time to come talk to us today.
Oh, my pleasure, guys. I appreciate you asking me.
Yeah, absolutely. I've obviously kind of done some things with you, apart from the Fair Chase, and kind of got to know you there. And so been seeing some of the predator hunting that you do, which is a lot, and figured had to have you on the podcast because I've been seeing a lot of coyotes where I hunt. But I don't have experience at all, coyote hunting. Like we've shot coyotes, Jared and I, but it's usually just when we're deer hunting and they pop
Right.
out and we'll take care of them. So we went out, got a coyote call. We got like Jared's AR set up for coyotes, but now we have no idea what to do. Like we got all the equipment, we got like the gumption, but we have no knowledge. And I figured, selfishly, we have you on. Just tell us exactly what to do, where to go, and we're going to be rolling in coyotes.
Well, I wish it was that easy, but yeah, you are making the first step though of buying a call and going, because that is the number one thing is just going. You got to
Yeah.
do it a lot. It's not something that you're gonna kill a coyote every time you go. It just don't. It's not that easy. But if you do it right, you will kill a lot of them and help your deer and turkeys in the progress. And it's it's addicting for sure. That it kind of for several years now. I love going. I'm addicted to it.
Yeah.
The last couple years, I've kind of slowed down a little bit, but not much. But I'm getting that bug again to go more.
Yeah.
Uh, I live in southern Missouri, and they just legalized last year nighttime hunting where we can use thermals and artificial lights.
Yep.
Before we never could do that, so that kind of gives an extra incentive to go and an extra adrenaline rush. My wife went with me last year for the first time, and she was addicted to it.
Yeah.
Actually, the first stand that we made, she run the light, and she went here, 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 oh, right here, and there was two of them. Bam! Within like 30 seconds, they
Yeah.
were there, and that hooked her. She's ready to go again now. She's all the time asking, when does it start? When does it start?
Well,
So that's what's something good about it too, is it's fun.
What's up? We are going to thank a few of these sponsors that help make this beautiful show a reality for all of you. So
Yeah.
here we go. So a big reason, I would say, to why we're so successful and we have so many bucks on the wall is because we use HuntWise. HuntWise is a GPS mapping app that you can download on any phone, any platform. You can look up public land huntings, ORV trails. You can get the weather. They actually have a HuntCast 2.0 that they teamed up with Jeff Sturgis to make. It's awesome. You need to check this thing out. Go to HuntWise, download the app.
I feel like if you go into the woods without optics, it's like going into the woods without pants on. Would you agree with that?
To a point.
To a point. We are huge fans of running binoculars, spotting scopes, and different things when we hunt, even whitetail. I bring binoculars out every time I go. We choose Vortex Optics because they make the best glass in the business. They have an amazing warranty, super clear glass, super helpful people that work there.
Also, if you want to rep some sweet Vortex swag like this warm shirt on a nice fall day, head over to Vortex Wear. Thank you. And use the promo code TFC20 for 20% off your purchase. Saddle game, you need to be in it. If you haven't been in it yet, then you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah.
Trophy Line Tree Sales makes some of the best saddles in the industry. They have 3 different platforms that we use and that are awesome.
I want to make a quick plug for the Wingman with a couple steps. You can take one less stick, and it's like a combination of a stick and a platform. I've been exclusively hunting out of it this year, and my mobile setup is so sweet. I'm very proud of it.
Awesome.
I highly recommend the
Awesome.
Wingman
If
system.
you're ready to pull the trigger on that and you want to get with James and do the Wingman, head over to the website and you can save yourself 10% on the purchase. TFC10 will get you that. I like to think I single-handedly got James to switch to compound again, but I'd probably be a liar and everyone would call me out on that. We shoot prime bows. We think they're awesome. great accuracy, super shootable.
Made here in Michigan.
Made in Michigan, so we love that. It's hard to complain.
That's where Jared was made. So
surprisingly,
we like that. Yeah.
Welcome. So go check out these prime bows.
We are of a firm belief that the arrow is the lifeblood of the archery industry. We've said it 1,000 times. But in all seriousness, we are huge fans of arrows that are durable, that fly well, and that kind of make up for some of my inaccuracies in the way that I shoot. So we shoot Vector custom arrows.
The hammer.
The hammer.
That's Thor.
They are made in Wisconsin by our buddy Isaac. Great arrows. And if you want to go and get yourself some, have a little bit of a discount, use TFC10 for 10% off. Or call Isaac up and tell him we sent you.
Mm-hmm. You want his phone number? Comment below.
Yep, comment below.
Yeah, it's exciting, and you can go at night. Night is, from what I've heard, usually it's an easier way to hunt for at least for a lot of, from what I've heard. I could be totally wrong with that, but you go out at night and it's not as, they seem to be more responsive to calls. Is that right?
I wouldn't totally agree with it. Yeah, you do increase it a little bit, but if you go at the right times during daylight hours, and go in the right time of year, all day long, 24 hours a day is good.
Yeah, sure.
I've called them first thing in the morning. I've called them at noon in the afternoon, and I've called them at night. So it just kind of depends on, I think the number one thing, and especially like you guys just starting, and I've wrote about this a lot and talked about it a lot, but the number one thing is hunting where there is coyotes. That sounds so simple. That sounds so simple, but it is so true. If there's not coyotes there, you can spend hours hunting and think, I'm no good at this. Right. I suck at this. I don't know how to do this, but that's not the case. If there's no coyotes to call in, no, you're not going to call them in. So that's the number one thing, is going in and doing your scouting, finding out where they're at, going in and like howling, like at night, you can go in and howl and get them to howl back at you, and write that down or mark that down. If you're using an app or something, mark that down where they're at and go into those spots. You will see your success rate jump tremendously if you pay more attention to making sure there is coyotes there before you go call.
So obviously, like tracks, right? One of the spots that I've got picked out, it's kind of these ponds, like kind of pond, swamp, marsh mix, and it's frozen over, and I've just seen tons of tracks, right? Coyote tracks I'll be there every couple of weeks, and there's tracks always there. So obviously that's a good indication. But you mentioned howling to locate them. It kind of reminds me of like putting a turkey to bed.
Right.
Are you with your voice howling, or are you using like an electronic call?
No, you can use like a diaphragm call, like a turkey call, that kind of style, just a double reed diaphragm howler, or you can use your electronics. But you just basically go in, and it's the same way like you said with a turkey. Go to somewhere where you're elevated, where you can hear a long ways, and just put out 2 or 3 just solid lone howls, sit and listen for a little bit, do it again, and usually within the first couple of sequences, they'll start howling back. Really? You can tell where they are, and do that a couple times a week before you go hunting, and make sure they are in that same spot, and if they're in that same spot every time, you know where to go to make your first set and start calling, like with your distress sounds or whatever you're doing.
So say you've located them, you've gone out a week, or say a couple nights a week or whatever, and you've determined that this is a spot where coyotes roam. What's your next move? How do you set up on them? What's the ideal setup? What does that look like?
Like you want to find somewhere where it's open, where you got plenty of room to shoot, plenty of room to see them coming in. You want to, of course, check your wind direction. That's number one thing with coyotes for sure, as their sense of smell is 10 times better than a deer. Yeah. You're never going to fool 100%, but you got to play that wind. I like to have the wind in my face or a crosswind before I set up, and make sure that, and kind of determine, based off the wind direction, where are they going to come from when I start calling? If the wind's going this way, or there's a pretty good chance they're going to come with the wind in their face. So,
Sure.
So always have somewhere where you can face that way.
Yep.
But just a good open area where you got plenty of room to see, plenty of room to have them coming in, and again, be close to those areas where you've heard them, where you've seen tracks, different things like that, or like different things they prey on. You might even look, is there a bunch of rabbits in this area? Is there a fields here where there's going to be a lot of mice, or hunting agriculture area, farm areas? I got a lot of farmers that they start having calves with their cows. They'll call me and say, "Hey, we're going to be calving soon, so the cows are going to be around." And sure enough, you can go in and cash in on that.
Really? I saw one this summer pick off like a nest of like baby pheasants.
Yeah.
Like I'm like looking at, I'm like, oh, cool. I forgot where I was. I was in Utah, and I was in Antelope Island, which is kind of by the Great Salt Lake. And I'm driving there. I'm like, oh, there's pheasants out there. That's kind of cool. And I look, and this coyote that looked like it had some bum leg, like something wrong with his whack leg, comes in, and it just this pheasant standing back, and it goes to town on its nest right in front of us. Cool, right along the road. My daughter, my wife all saw it. It's nature. It's cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. And see,
okay.
like something like that's something to remember. Like if you're close to where you're hunting and you see stuff like that, that's what they're feeding off of, and you can base your calls off of that. Even like use bird and distress sounds there. Or if you're hunting, if you see, like I said, them farmers calling with calves.
Yeah.
Maybe use like a baby calf in distress. Match your sounds with what's going on. That's what I'm talking about when scouting. You're not just scouting just for see if there's coyotes there. You're scouting to see what they're feeding on, what they're doing. You know more about that animal. You're not just knowing that they're there. You know what they do, and that'll help you help your calling and your success rate.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, it seems like it's just like, and this is a lot of hunting, but it's like common sense. Like if you think about it, of course you'd use the same call. And Jared, you know what they say about common sense?
It's not so common.
No, well, they do say that. This is a quote I saw the other day. Common sense is genius dressed in work clothes. I think working clothes. Ralph Waldo Emerson, right there. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
That is a good quote.
Yeah, there you go. You're welcome. I like to try to we like to grow, together in these podcasts with good quotes and hot tips.
That was a good one, man. I appreciate that one.
Yeah, no, good. No, that's cool. So you're going out there, you got to set up, you got a good view. You've determined that, maybe this is a rabbit area or whatever. You go in and you set up your call. Now, what I ended up getting was this, it's the microphone, and it's got that little tail, fuzzy thing.
A creature.
A creature out there that's flopping around. Do you like that, or are you not a decoy guy?
I have a decoy all the time, but I don't use it all the time, especially for coyotes. If I'm bobcat hunting, yes, use a decoy every time, because a bobcat is just like a house cat. Any kind of movement, they catch their eye and see it. But a coyote's not so much. They will like that if you're in a good open area. They like that, but not always. Just kind of, and that's another thing. It just takes experience hunting and seeing what the coyotes do.
Yeah.
If you got some pressured coyotes, they may spook on that every now and then. They don't like it sometimes, but you just got to see if they do or they don't.
So your coyotes will see. I say coyote. Jared, what do you say?
Yote.
You're a yote. Does that? I wonder if that's like what part of the country you're from. I always say coyote, but then when people say yote, I never know what to say. I try not to say like the Y-O-T.
I've heard them called 100 different things. I've heard yote, dogs, coyotes, coyotes.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a wrong answer.
No,
I say coyote.
Coyote. But you're Missouri, so maybe there's something behind that. Like that's the difference between like crick and creek. Like a lot of people say up down by the creek. Jared, you're a creek man, right?
A creek man.
I'm a creek man because that's the way it's spelled.
No, man.
That's something I get in my neck, not that I hunt by.
That's right. It is, exactly. I got a creek in my neck.
Yeah, I say creek.
I think I would say I'm ambidextrous on that one.
Are you?
I'm a little of both.
You're
split it
bi
up.
when
I'll
it
creek.
comes to that.
You know, there's a crick and then a creek. They'll both slip out.
No,
Just
will you
depends on
say a
who you're
hollow?
talking to.
Right. Do I say what?
Will you say a hollow or a holler? Will you say or like a valley or
I still don't know what a holler is, but I like to just call
man,
it
dude, we've been over this. What did I call it the other day? Like not a drainage.
Shoot.
I had a shoot. I was gonna coin the term shoot because it kind of just.
I don't know if a holler. Like, what is a holler? Is it
Heath?
just like a valley?
Come to Southern Missouri. That's all we call it. Is a holler.
Exactly. Figured.
Even if it's a ridge or a hill, it's just like up on the holler. Like what?
If somebody says holler, we're like, yeah, you city folks.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hollow.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to Indiana and you would say Notre Dame. No, it's Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, a holler is just like a valley, like
Just a valley.
a cut in. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But I'm talking about draws, and you call them shoots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think a draw is a holler. Heath, help us out here.
A draw is a holler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. I'm gonna start
many
calling
words.
holler for sure. Actually, no, I'm a draw guy.
I'm sticking with shoot because
I know you're
that's unique
just
to me.
Right up the shoot.
Yeah.
And that's where he came.
There are certain things I can't get in my head. Often in my head, it takes me a minute to think about. We'll call a rub a scrape and a scrape a rub.
And it noise.
And
It's very
I just-
confusing.
Keep in mind.
Yeah.
Because they're scraping their antlers on the tree. I'll do a tree
You
stand.
just rub the ground.
I'll say tree stand for any place that you hunt for
Yeah,
deer,
dude.
whether it's in a tree or not. I'll do that as well.
See, I can picture it now. A guy standing next to a creek saying, I went to the hollow. Did you guys catch any deer?
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to say all that.
Catching
same
guys
stuff.
with creeks
You,
now, huh?
You've tipped your hat if you say those things. Like you caught a deer, huh? All right. Would you let it go?
See ya.
All right. So
I'll agree with that.
you go out, you've got your spot, you've got your call, your electronic call. Are you more electronic or are you more of a mouth call?
I use both. On my Coyote Vocals, I use a mouth call the most, a diaphragm call. I've always got one in my mouth, but on all my distress sounds, I carry some hand calls, but mostly I'm using the electronics. The reason for that is batteries are going to go dead on unexpected sometimes, and I've been caught out there with no hand calls and think, dang it, I'm out here and have nothing to do now. So I always carry a couple hand calls just for that reason too. And also sometimes you can get that realistic, you can control your volume a little more on a hand call. But Coyote Vocals, I do a lot on a diaphragm.
All right.
That's where I would be like, man, do I have a Bluetooth speaker in my car?
Right.
And then I'd go do it and then look up a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And just crank it up to 10. I don't know. That's what I would do. But
Yeah.
batteries.
The electronic call I'm using right now has Bluetooth. You can actually do that on your electronic call now.
That's sweet.
That's it.
Yeah, it's
You
pretty
run
sweet.
out of-
Do you ever do a voice call? Are you like ever like, because like occasionally when I'm turkey hunting, I'll go like a mouth call, or I'll do a voice grunt kind of a thing. And dude, Jared laughs,
I do
but
turkey.
it works well.
Turkey calls, I've done that a lot. Turkey,
Yeah.
purring and stuff. I actually called in a turkey calling contest one time, and I wasn't real good at purring on a diaphragm at that time, and I actually used my natural voice in it, and they never knew it. And I actually scored pretty good on that.
What turkey contest? Where was this?
That was in Stuttgart, Arkansas. It was the Arkansas State Championship, actually.
Man, I wish we had those around us. That's like not a Michigan thing. We don't have turkey calling. Oh my goodness. Hang on, just give
runner up.
Take the floor, Jared. I mean, we've said this so many times this is Jared. I wish you had we should get you a medal for this.
Just to have it. It was just a second place, baby. So the BHA every spring holds the turkey calling contest. So it's basically you get, 15, 25 seconds to make a little calling sequence. And then all of the viewers and followers get to vote on this. So James enters me into this contest without me knowing and goes, oh, hey, you're in a turkey calling contest. You got to make a submission by today. I'm like, what the heck, man? lo and behold, I start, you make it through state, and then you go to regionals, then you go to the finals, and then it's like head-to-head competition where it's just me and this other guy who decided to dress up like the Tiger King, because that's when that was 2020.
Yeah.
2020 spring. So he's doing turkey calls in a Tiger King costume and steals all the votes. And actually,
it was a popularity contest.
It was a popularity contest.
So they can actually see you. The judges can see you then.
Yes.
You're saying the fans vote on it.
Yeah, it was social media stuff.
Social media stuff.
Yeah. See, well, that's how kind of I got my start in the hunting industry, I guess you'd say, is way back in like the year 2000. Well, before that, I called in a few turkey calling contests where you actually have judges behind the curtain that doesn't know who's calling and all that. Then in the year 2000 at Bass Pro Shop in Springfield, Missouri, I was working a sports show, and the U.S. Open turkey calling contest was going on at that time. And I kind of had the same thing as you, Jerry. They kind of said, "Hey, you're calling on that today. Here's a call. Here's a call." And they handed me a slate call. I was like, "Oh my God, this ain't my call. I don't know nothing about this." And I practiced on it a few times, and this is kind of telling my age, but when I got on the calling contest stage, the TNN, if you remember TNN back in the day, their camera was right in my face, and I was like, "Oh Lord," but I got third place in the U.S. Open that day.
There you go.
When it wasn't even my call.
Now, is there money associated with that trophy or that third place? Is that like take some home some cash?
Yeah, it's I don't even remember what it was, and it's probably like $50, $100, something like that, and got a plaque. But some of the calling contests today, yeah, you can make some pretty good stuff, but that's why I don't do it anymore. The competition level and that is unreal now.
Crazy. I've watched
those
guys, and they are incredible. Like, they're doing sounds that I didn't even think could happen from a turkey. It's like, what the heck?
Right.
You guys are doing it with a little reed in their mouth, and then they're changing them out mid-sequence. So like the judges, I don't know if that's the way you had it, Heath, but the judges will call out, a calling sequence, and then you have to mimic this.
Right.
And then you judge based off of all that. And it was incredible.
Exactly.
Hearing these guys doing like a fly down.
Right. The contest I was telling you about in Arkansas, that's the way it was. I kind of heard about it, and I thought that may be something cool to do again. This has been probably 10 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And when I got there, it was 10 people there, was Grand National and World Champs. I thought, oh Lord, what am I doing? But I did it anyway. I got smoked that day, but it was fun.
That's what it's all about.
No, I do appreciate, a good turkey caller. I'm not one. That's why I just let Jared tag out early and then just carry him around with me, like my own personal mechanical turkey call.
Start charging them for that.
You really should.
Really should, man.
So, all right, back on the topic. So you got your call set. When you set up, like, do you just hunker down and immediately start calling? Do you let things settle down? Like, how does that go?
I usually try to find like a good place where I got some good cover behind me, like a tree or shadows. You see a lot, like if you watch much predator hunting on TV, a lot of people think, man, they're just sitting out in the wide open. And that is kind of the case. Yeah, you can get by with that, but they're sitting on like the side of a hill. The things you're going to look for is don't get silhouetted, stay in the shadows, and I wear camo most of the time. You see some people that wear all kinds of stuff coyote hunting, but I'm still a camo guy. I think it works and helps to blend in and break up that pattern. But I'm sitting though where I got a little bit of background, a little bit of shadow, something to break me up, but still where I can see good. And again, like I said, that wind direction where that's in my favor. But I have a tripod. I usually set my rifle up on it. Sometimes 80% of the time I'll carry a shotgun with me too. And I usually have it either across my lap or next to me.
Why is that?
Just for like if a coyote comes in close, I can, or if you got more than, you can blast him. Or if more coyotes come, or more, like 2 or 3 coyotes come in at a time, you can let them get close, shoot the first one with your shotgun. They're going to run away. So you get back on your rifle and start, using your natural voice and going, boom, you can get them too.
Awesome.
So you can kill more than one coyote having 2-gun option like that. A lot of guys use shotgun just for pelt damage. You know, they don't want to mess up the fur. If you shoot one close, you got better fur.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the reason. But that's what I do mostly setting up. I have the 2-gun. I usually let it set. When I sit down, I'll let it rest for 2 or 3 minutes, just calm down. Usually I'm catching my breath too. I'm out of shape. And, you know, and before I use that mouth call, I don't want to be out of breath, you know.
Right.
Hold on,
Sound like
fellas. I need a break a second.
I've had that with turkey hunting before.
I
I'm
have
like,
too, man.
I got to make a turkey call, but I'm like, oh, okay, one second.
Yep. Guilty.
Actually,
But-
a good long sequence will do that to you. Also, you're like,
Yeah.
Yep.
That and
For
the
sure.
COVID lung, you know, you got a little COVID lung going.
little
You got
CL.
that affects your turkey call. Okay, so you do it. I mean, you're mentioning like, you know, 2 at a time. Yeah, what's your like? I mean, is that how many you typically get? Is that the Heath Wood way? 2 coyotes, 1 hunt.
I wish it was. But no, it's usually singles, but it's not uncommon for 2 or 3 to come in. Depends on where you're hunting too. I've hunted out in western Oklahoma where we had 5 or 6 coyotes coming in at a time, you know, and it was crazy. But
Yeah.
you can see a mile away too. Whereas
Right.
in southern Missouri, you can't. You know, you see 200 or 300 yards is a long ways.
Yeah.
But like if you're hunting out west where you can see a long ways, yeah, it's very common to have more than one coming in. And that's why you see a lot of guys carrying more than one gun. It just gives them a better option of killing more coyotes.
Yeah. That's awesome. No, I asked because I had 2 come in this year when I was deer hunting. Actually, this is a good question. These coyotes came. I was deer hunting. I was out on state land. It was during rifle season here, and I found this pine tree that was over a swamp. And I'm like, I can see a long ways. I got some snow on the ground. This is a sweet spot for deer. Sitting there, I was planning on shooting a doe, and I had I got in the mail this not vanilla killer. What is it, Jared? Again, deer dander.
oh, yep.
Dan Fitzgerald deer dander. Right?
Fitzgerald, yeah.
Yep.
So I'm like, I grew up. They sent us some. I grew up like watching Dan Fitzgerald. I'm like, I got to try this. This is, you know, this is the hot ticket. So I loaded it up, and just for the record, that stuff stinks and it stays in your clothes. I put it in my pack. I finally washed it again a couple days ago to get it out.
It's potent.
Yeah, it's potent. Actually, just a side note, the washing machine trick for your pack, like your hunting pack, works great. Like I took it off the frame, threw it in the washing machine, worked great. And actually, somebody wrote in and said, a guy we had on the podcast a couple months ago, actually, probably now. It's like if you take your pack, the metal stays out of your frame, you can actually throw your frame in the washing machine too, which is probably what I'm going to try next because I got a bunch of coyote still left on the frame.
You got some grime going.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm up there and it's downwind and like I just hear something crashing through the swamp. I'm like, oh man, what is that? You know, I look and a big coyote comes in like straight up downwind to me, and I'm convinced he smelled the deer dander and just came in. Right, he came into like 40 yards, and I told the story on the podcast before, but like a couple weeks earlier, I'd shot one with my 300 Win Mag, and I didn't have ear protection in, and my ears are still ringing. Like it was bad. I don't know why that time it just caught my ear wrong and it just jacked up my hearing. So this coyote comes in and I can't get my earplugs in fast enough. And I'm like, I'm just not going to shoot till I get it all set. Cause no coyote is worth that. So I'm fumbling around. It gets into like 40 yards and then takes off again. I'm like, shoot, you know, well, sure enough, like 30 seconds later, another one, big black face, comes in and I got that one. But now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, that was downwind to me. And I was really high in a tree, but for sure my wind was blowing where they were coming from. Like, does Attractant Scent like that, would that have actually brought it in?
Yeah, for sure. Because they make coyote scents, you know, that's like a baby fawn scent or coyote urine, different things like that. But yeah, that's a cover scent at its prime right there. You know, they're smelling that and they're focused on it instead of you. the whole purpose of a cover scent. So yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, consider this then an ad for Fitzgerald's Deer Dander. It works. At least it worked for me. You heard it here.
Man, this is also telling my age, but I remember when I was a kid, there was a VHS video store in my town, and every weekend me and my dad would go there and rent every Dan Fitzgerald video there was there. We thought that was the coolest thing, and I remember Walmart getting Vanilla Killer, and I thought, "Yep, we're gonna kill a monster now." And we poured that stuff out, and I don't know.
It smells good, nice. The Vanilla Killer is like it smells just like cookies.
Cooking vanilla.
Yeah. No, what was the one we always watched, Jared?
Rotten Rampage.
Rotten Rampage. One of the best hunting films you're gonna see. He shoots a Boone. He considers a Boone and Crockett spike. Remember that, Jaredy?
Yes.
On the ground, he's got like a spike that looks like some sort of.
It's just a main beam that comes around.
Yeah.
Like on both sides. Like if it didn't have any G2s or anything, just a main beam.
I'm working on getting him on the podcast. That's coming soon.
That'd be cool. We watched Backstraps and Bacon was the number one I remember.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if it was that one or which one it was, but there was one that they took his tree stand that had like the expanded metal bottom.
They cooked on it?
Campfire. Yes, that was awesome.
Yes.
I gotta do
built
that
a
sometime.
fire.
I want to do that.
Put a tree stand on the flames and grilled some backstrap right on the seat.
I'm sure there's no carcinogens in there.
No.
He's still alive. He's not young. So, hey, man, it worked for him. That's good,
sure.
Outdoor living.
For sure.
Okay, so you got him coming in. You're downwind, crosswind ideally, and that's same for deer hunting. You want my favorite is the like slightly off wind, so they think that they can smell you, and then they have no idea. And a thing that I've been wondering is, so say you're night hunting, right? And I got some like 2 of these spotlights that I'm out with, right? I got one, and then one's run out of battery. I have the other one, whatever. Does the spotlight not scare them away? How does that work? Like, when do you decide to spot? When do you not? How do you decide that?
Keeping it scanning is the big thing, because like if you just keep it catching where they're not really picking it up, but once you spot one, you got to keep it locked on them, keep it in their eyes. It's the same thing as like us walking in. If somebody shined a flashlight in our face, we can't tell who that is. If they turn it a little bit off of us, we can see them. It's the same thing with a coyote. When they're coming in, if you keep that right in their face, keep that right in their eyes, they're not going to see you. If it's blinded out, they're more focused on the sound that they're going to instead of that. So that's the main deal. And that's why I like to go at night. I like to have 2 people for sure. I like to have somebody scanning, then I have a light on my gun. And when they spot it, keep it on there. Then I usually turn my light on my gun and I keep that in their face too, and just until it's time to shoot. Because if you turn it anyway, they're going to see you.
Yeah, I was reading people refer to it as like the light is your camo.
Yeah, for sure it is.
Yeah. Interesting. And so you're constantly scanning when you're calling, or are you just popping that on every couple minutes?
No, I'm scanning the whole time, because you never know when it's going to happen. It may turn that light on, there'll be one standing there about 20 yards from you, and you're, oh no, what do I do? So yeah, and just like I was telling you, like with me and my wife last year, it was literally 30 seconds into it, and normally you would probably think, well, I'm not going to turn the light on yet. I just started calling. Well, shoot, they were already there, and I've had that happen in the daylight. Like you was talking about earlier, having a couple of them come in on you. There was a guy and a young boy that wanted to learn how to coyote hunt. And he said, man, all deer season, we've seen coyotes. I've got this deer stand that's actually wood, that's got a big platform on top. All 3 of us can fit in the top of it. If you want to come out and coyote hunt, we'd like to go with you. And it was one of those times where it don't happen like that all the time, but we got up in this tree stand, and I howled, and literally 30 seconds, there was 2 of them come in, and I turned around in the stand, and I shot the first one at like 30 yards. And as soon as I pulled the trigger, I seen the other one, and I just run a bolt in and got to and stopped him at like 60 yards and shot him. And the little boy that was with us was like 8 or 9 years old, and he was literally just bouncing in that tree stand. He was so excited, and I was pretty jacked up too, you know. And I told them, I was like, "Don't get used to that. That don't usually happen like that." But that just goes to show you, though, how fast it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
in daylight or after dark, you know. So constantly keep scanning.
you're keeping the hides. You tan them, or what do you do?
Yeah, most of the time I keep them. They're not really worth a lot anymore. I literally just got off an interview earlier with a guy that traps a lot. We was talking about that same subject, you know. A lot of people are skinning them and putting them in the freezer and just keeping them and see what it does.
Sure.
Some are just getting whatever they can out of them, just where you don't throw them away. He was talking about he had a few hats made, some clothes made, and giving them away as Christmas gifts, you know, because they're not bringing much, but still you're not just throwing them away. You got something to do with them.
I love hanging. I've got one I'm going to hang up in my living room.
Yeah.
My wife wants pillow covers. So my plan this year has been to either trap a couple beavers and make some beaver pillow covers, or do coyote covers. And so far I haven't caught one single freaking beaver, and which is a whole entirely different thing that I've
just taken on a bunch right now, and it's just a bunch of different ventures.
The beavers are tricky right now. I don't know enough. And coyotes, I've got one that's coming, but I want to hang that one. I want to do like a full kind of caped out and hang it. I've got a bear that's hanging out awesome. Next. Yeah, it's cool. It's a black face. It was all black fur. When it came in, especially being above it, it looked like a totally black dog. But then when you kind of see it at a different angle, it's like grayish and blackish in there. But like when I first shot it, I'm like, what the heck? Totally black.
I want to kill a black coyote so bad. I've never killed a black coyote. I see it all the time. I've had buddies killing them, and I want to
get on my level. All right, I'm an experienced coyote hunter.
Black one, Jim?
Yeah.
When?
The one that I shot this year was like black.
Really?
Like when I saw it, like it looked as black as my sweatshirt right now. But like I said, you get at a different angle and you can see like the tips of the hair is more black and it's like kind of grayish underneath.
Yeah.
It's not like totally black like a wolf. Like you would think. At least mine was. And I don't know if that's like standard Heath or what, if I'm just, but that's what I had.
The black coyotes, it's not unusual, but it's not common either. But it's kind of like a double-bearded gobbler, it happens a lot, but it's just one thing I want to kill so bad, and I haven't ever done it.
Yeah, I want to get another one. It was fun. Do you eat them? Do you ever eat one?
I have not. No.
I have not either. I want to try it. I feel like if you put it like in the smoker and throw a lot of barbecue sauce on it, you can get away with anything.
Good. It's got to be good on a smoker. I want to try I want to try bobcat really bad. I've got a buddy of mine that's tried it and made a video on it even. And they say it's good. But I want to do that sometime too.
Well, they say mountain lion is like kind of pork-ish, and I figure bobcat's just a small mountain lion with a short tail, basically.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard mountain lion's really good.
Yeah, that's
but a coyote, I don't know. I can't do it.
Nope.
See, I think I could do a coyote.
Dog, man.
Coyote.
That's
you could do it?
No.
Nope. I'd try. I think I'd try the back straps. I think
I wonder if the black ones taste any different.
Yeah, like it's probably peppery.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I would try that, but like I've seen guys eat like raccoon. I can't bring myself to eat a raccoon, but I think I could a coyote.
I remember my grandpa talking about eating raccoon when he was a kid. Said it was real greasy, but they ate it.
I was gonna say that and possum, real greasy meat.
I've heard that. Yep. I've heard that they're comparable to like bear kind of coyote or raccoons. I mean,
I've heard bear's pretty good if you cook it certain ways. I've heard bear fajitas a lot. They say that's great, but raccoon, I don't know.
Bear might be the top. Might be my favorite game meat. It's up there.
Really?
Oh yeah. We've got a barbacoa recipe, barbacoa with bear, that Jared came up with, which is fantastic for any game meat, but it was especially good for bear. And what I found was the sous vide. You know what a sous vide is?
Yeah.
Sous vide, and then you like sear a bear steak is pretty good. Because I'm always kind of nervous about the getting what's that, trichinosis?
Yeah.
I'm always like kind of thinking about that always. That's the only thing, but we'll do that. We've got a lot of the fat is really good for cooking too. I use that.
Yeah.
Got some in my fridge. I made some eggs in it this morning, actually.
That's
cool.
still lasted you. That's lasted you a year, man.
Well, I had your bear's fat and mine, and I've been trying to be selective, but now that I've got my next bear hunt planned, now I'm like, all right, I'll just eat it and hopefully count on the next time to be successful.
Just has like a sweet, like a sweet taste to it. Like when
that's what I've always heard is sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not a very strong, like it's great for like baking.
Yeah.
But not terribly strong. Sometimes if you're using like a coconut oil or something, everything's got that flavor to it. This isn't. It makes a nice crust, like a nice flaky crust too. So yeah. So you've been coyote hunting for how long?
Well, I'll be 40 years old in March, and
Yikes.
I was probably, I want to say 16 or 17 when I went on my first coyote hunt, and it was in August when you normally wouldn't think of coyote hunting, but we went in August, and I remember using a cassette player with the big old speaker that weighed 50 pounds by the time we got there, and we was in a cattle field. There was an old barn that had these two fences that come together, and on both fences was grown up with brush where you literally could not see through them. And me and a buddy of mine sat behind that. We put that collar out there, and if you remember the cassette collars, they had a cord on them. You could only take the speaker out there so many yards. We set that up when we played a coyote pup distress, and there was cows out in the field probably 200 yards out there, and about 5 or 6 minutes into it, all them cows took off running. And I told my buddy, I said, get ready, something's happening. And about that time, a coyote come through the fence and come all the way across that field. And my buddy brought up his gun. I was like, no, let's see how close it'll get. And literally on the other side of that fence where we were at, it got right up to us like 3 or 4 steps. And it finally smelt us. And when it took off, when it spun around to take off, he rolled it right there about 10 yards, and I was hooked. And literally, we went probably 10 more times the rest of that summer. Then all winter long that winter, we went, and me and him hunted together for 4 or 5 years through school and stuff and after school. And then he kind of moved away, but I've been addicted to it ever since then. So that was kind of my first experience, and I can see that just like it was yesterday.
It's funny you say there's trends that I hear when we're talking to different podcast guests and hunting, especially guys that get into specific types of hunting. And one thing is always like, your dad, your grandpa, your uncle got you into hunting, right? That's pretty standard for a lot of the guys we're talking to, although that's changing quite a bit in the last couple of years. The other one, though, that I've noticed is people that get really hooked on a specific type of hunt. Typically one of their first hunts was very memorable, like something fantastic happened. And that was, I first time I ever hunted, I went out, had no idea what I was doing by myself, terrified with my bow. I mean, I didn't know anything. I was 12 years old. I'd been hunting with my dad and my uncles and stuff, but never by myself. And I remember I get out there and I had a doe and like this little 5-point buck, like walk right under my stand. And so of course I let the big doe go to shoot that little buck, right? And he's like at 7 yards. I sent it right over his back. But like I was so jacked at that point that I had seen a deer. Like that moment, I was hooked. From then on, I'm like, this is my thing. And who knows if that would have been a terrible hunt. I didn't see anything if I would have been into hunting as much as I am now, probably, but maybe it'd be different. But a lot of people I've talked to is like, man, this first time that I went out, this happened, and it's like some extraordinary hunt, and they're hooked, and that's their thing.
But just like that kid I was telling you about, his excitement jumping up and down that stand. That's what I enjoy so much about taking kids hunting, and taking them turkey hunting or coyote hunting or whatever. Yeah. Seeing their excitement and making that experience where it is something like that that's going to hook them for the rest of their life. That's important, and especially in today's world, we need more of that.
There's not a lot of real experiences that kids get to have. It's a lot of virtual screen time experiences, and to have have a hunt where, and like we've talked about this a lot, but there are very few times in your life where you're as mentally present as you are when you're hunting, and especially when something's coming out. Like you're dialed in, you're in that exact moment. And so to take a kid out to do that is special, and to see them kind of just interact with the world in a different way and see that light turn on is really, really, really cool.
Right. That's kind of one of my testimonies. Is one time, it's been about 8 or 9 years ago now, maybe, I took a boy that had a brain tumor that had lost his eyesight because he had so much cancer treatments, over the last 2 years before that. And he literally could not see except for up close. But they asked me if I wanted to take him deer hunting. And the year before, I'd taken a blind boy turkey hunting with the Missouri Conservation Department let us use this apparatus that holds the gun. There's 2 remote controls that come off of it. There's it looks like your cell phone sitting on top of the scope. And there's crosshairs in that. We could see that, and when both buttons are pushed at the same time, it makes the gun go off. But anyway, we took this boy, and that morning, first thing, there was this pretty good buck that come in, and I was trying to video it and trying to run this gun at the same time, and we ended up missing it. And I knew we missed, but the little boy said, "Let's go look for blood," and I was like, "I know there's no blood, but let's go," So we went out there and we was looking around, and I had him by the hand. We was walking around looking, and he said, "Man, I'm glad I missed that." And to me, I'm like, "Why? What?" And I'm aggravated. I'll be honest. I was aggravated that we missed. I felt like it was my fault, and I was thinking that was that boy's opportunity, and I messed it up. But he said, "I'm glad we missed it." And I was like, "Why?" He goes, "I don't want to quit hunting yet. I want to keep hunting with you." And I was like, "Bam!" That was my wake up call of enjoying the hunt, and enjoying that, and him just being out there. He was having a blast. And we went back and got in the blind, and a couple hours later, a button buck come in. I told him there was a button buck. He's like, "I want to shoot it." And we shot it, and he would thought we'd have killed a 180-inch deer, as excited as he was. And I still talk to his grandpa, and he still goes every now and then with his dad and with his grandpa and stuff too, and they help him, but he was hooked after that. But that was kind of my wake up call of, and just enjoy the hunt and be excited about it instead of worrying about killing the biggest thing.
Yeah. Just priority straight. And like, like we've been saying, I mean, you're just interacting with the natural world in a different way.
Right.
I mean, there's very few people who care about deer, turkey, coyotes as much as hunters do, which is kind of like the paradox of being a hunter, right? You're shooting the thing that you care so much about. Hard to explain, but it is a powerful moment, and especially taking kids out. I remember a couple of years ago, took my daughter and her 2-3 cousins out. We're sitting in an old barn, and they're sitting in the back of this boat, and I got this window, and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna see anything, but some doe steps out, whatever. I got my recurve, something steps out, I'm gonna shoot. So sure enough, a doe steps out, shoot him 28 yards, which I'm pretty proud of, Jared. I always bring up the yardage when I tell this story, because that's a pretty far shot with a recurve. And I'm not a great recurve shot. So anyways, I shoot it and I look around, and these kids are like, their eyes are like as big as pie plates, and they are just cheering, and that night we cut them up. And the whole time, just one of my more proud dad moments is the whole time my daughter's looking at me while I'm butchering it. Like, she keeps saying, "Nice cut, Dad. That's a good cut, Dad." I'm like, yeah, you're right. It is.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. So, okay. So you've been hunting, you've got some coyotes, you got a few down this year. You're doing all right?
Yeah, I've called a few in. I'll be honest, man, I got so focused on deer hunting this year. Usually I coyote hunt throughout the summer, then a couple times through October, then as soon as November's over, I'm right back into coyote hunting. But this year, man, I got so focused into deer hunting. I killed a decent buck with my bow early season bow hunting, and I just got caught up in checking the cameras and doing all that I didn't really coyote hunt much until after rifle season. But yeah, I've killed a fox. I've called in a couple coyotes now, but I'm just really getting the bug right now as we speak, to keep going. it's the breeding season of coyotes right now, and that's one of my favorite times to hunt. And of course, the night season just opened February 1st. February 1st through March 31st is when night hunting in Missouri is. So that's where I hunt the most. So yeah, I'm really getting the bug, and I'm ready to go now.
Yeah, I'm looking behind you, and I like that's a sweet flex there with all that headgear hanging behind you. I mean, you're making me feel bad. I got nothing hanging behind me right now.
Blurry concrete wall.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I got my bear. My bear.
Oh, I like that. The bear is a good move. I do like that. Jared's son Wyatt, a lot of times when I come over, is wearing your coyote. Like wears the head over his head. He's a wild boy, man. He's gonna be a hunter, I think.
I'm hoping so. He actually got to see his first dead deer up close, like the full body. Because usually what James and I will do is if we shoot a deer out on public land, we just quarter it up and throw them in game bags and take them home and process them that way. But because I had shot this doe so close to home, I was able to throw it in the back of the truck and then bring the entire deer home. So that was the first time he got to see one up close, and he was very interested in the death process and the parts of the animal. So he had to see the eyeball, he had to see the tongue.
Did you eat that tongue?
Oh, we did not.
No.
Sorry, dude. I probably
could save it for me.
I didn't.
I usually have a bag of tongues that I collect, and then I'll eat because they're small, but you got to get a bunch to make like tacos and stuff. And this year I just never did. I hate to hear that. I didn't even think about that until now. Crap. Missed opportunity.
It is missed. Swing and a miss.
Swing and a miss.
That's all right.
Well, Heath, we're coming up on time, but yeah, you're a prolific writer when it comes to predator hunting and lots of other stuff. You post a lot, do videos and stuff. So, I want to make sure people are kind of picking up some of the tips and the things that you're sharing. So for people who are listening, how can they find you? Where do they find some of the stuff that you're writing, and how can they learn more?
Well, I do a lot of stuff for Mossy Oak. I write a lot of stuff for them, but I do a lot of other things. But if you'll follow me on my Instagram, I got like a link tree under there that has a ton of my articles on there, and you can go through and read whatever you want to. But I usually try to post whenever one gets published. I usually post within a day or two of it publishing and get it up there where people can read it and do that. But yeah, it's pretty fun, pretty blessed to be able to do it.
Awesome. I find that writing articles like blog posts and stuff actually kind of hones you in a little bit. Like when I'm writing, I just wrote one, I posted it today on roadkill, eating roadkill. I
seen your post on that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was actually the picture I put up was one that I hit on the way to Bible study, on night, and I'm like just clocked this deer in the middle of a neighborhood. And so it runs off into some guy's yard. And so I'm like, man, it's still alive. I should go put it down. But like, I'm in a neighborhood. This is kind of, I'm just going to call it in and, just see what the local law enforcement wants me to do. So I don't do anything that upsets somebody. Well, the guy comes out and he takes his pistol out and he shot it a couple times in this guy's yard. And the guy came out and he's like, oh, just got it right here. Just got it right. And you can take the meat. So I got the game, the tag and everything, brought it home and got some bonus venison. The guy's like, speaking of coyotes, is like, oh, by the morning, the coyotes will come and clean it up. So apparently that neighborhood had some coyotes running around. But anyways, writing these articles it helps me think through when I'm out there hunting. Like it's a helpful thing, at least for me.
Good. I'm glad. That's one of my biggest challenges, and it's an excitement at the same time. But like when you're writing a deer hunting article in July, it's hard to get in that mind frame of doing that. But at the same time, I've been typing like a deer hunting article in July and go get my camo and walk outside and be like, crap, it's 100 degrees still because I'm so jacked up about going deer hunting, And it's the same way with predator hunting, everything, you get to writing about it a couple of times and you're fired up, ready to go. And that's where I feel like I still have that hunter in me, that comes out. And that's what's cool about it is I'm just writing about stuff I love to do. Yeah. And I've got to talk to a lot of cool people over the years doing that and learn a lot of things like that. I've talked to some of the best coyote hunters there is, and learn a lot of stuff from them. and by writing about it and doing interviews with them. And I try to just pass along some of that. And over the last 25 years of coyote hunting myself, I feel like I've learned a few things, but I'm no professional by no means. But I'm no professional by no means. But I feel like I've learned a few things too, and it's fun writing about it. And it seems like predator hunting is that number one thing that people are so intrigued about, you know?
Yeah.
Because turkey hunting, everybody's heard about turkey hunting for years. Everybody's deer hunting for years. But coyote hunting, it seems like there's that people want to learn. They want to, they're thirsty for knowledge on it all the time, you know? And that's what I like. Even some of the articles I do where it actually keeps track of how many times it's been read and stuff. Predator hunting is always way up there compared to everything else. It's so cool to see that. But if you haven't ever been, go coyote hunting and you'll see why it's so exciting, and it's an adrenaline rush for sure. I've had some awesome hunts that still stick in my mind today, just like it happened yesterday, you know.
Sure.
Go predator hunting. It's not just fun, but it's needed to improve, like what you were saying, like to get all those deer up there and the turkey numbers up there.
Yeah.
We care about the animals that we're hunting too. And that's one thing as a hunter is taking care of predators, and you got to manage them, because there's nothing else that eats a coyote or a bobcat or raccoons or anything. They don't have a natural predator. We are the only predator to them. So it's our job as hunters to take care of them.
Well, and coyotes will eat kind of take out the foxes in an area. And from what I've read, and correct me if I'm wrong, when that happens, a lot of times you get more mice, and with mice you get more ticks apparently. And so apparently it's key for controlling ticks too. Is that right?
Yeah, I've heard that, and man, I can see that, because I've killed some coyotes in the middle of the summer that I put in my truck and let them go the next night, you know, and look in the back of my truck the next morning, and oh my gosh, there's ticks everywhere. It's amazing how many ticks is on that. You're like, how do they even function through the day with that many ticks on them? But they do. They're so loaded.
When they come out, I shot this deer on North Manitou here in Michigan, which is known for just having tons of ticks. Do you remember how many ticks came off that deer? We didn't notice it at first. Cut them up, and like we backpacked into the island, took a boat to the island, backpacked in. So like I didn't see them at first. I throw them in my backpack and kind of get them cut up and have them hanging, and I'm getting set to go, and I'm like walking out, and like we took a break because our packs were heavy, and I'm like looking at it, I'm like, dude, this thing is, and I didn't see it before that. I'm like, this is covered in ticks. I've been walking around, and this thing's got just like Tick City right behind me.
Tick City right behind you. The
so,
Alamo of ticks.
Freaking, that's the worst. Ticks are my least favorite thing in the hunting woods. Like they can ruin a perfectly good hunt. Ticks more than anything. Agreed. Mosquitoes, I'll take mosquitoes over ticks.
Seed ticks are horrible.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyways, I could go on and on. Anyway,
yeah, we really could.
Heath, thank you. Everybody go check him out. Instagram, on Mossy Oaks blog. I think you're writing for Blocker Outdoors and stuff. And so just keep an eye on him. Great information. And Heath, I really appreciate you being gracious enough to share your time with us tonight.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Anytime you want to talk more about it, I'd be happy to.
Well, I got your number, so I'm going to be texting you as I have questions. I'll be out sitting out in the dark and be like, hey, Heath, what do I do now? You know,
anytime. I've actually done that. I've coached people through what sounds to use while they're sitting out there. Then 20 minutes later, they send me a dead coyote, and I'm like, yeah, that makes
good.
Yeah, you know,
yeah, that's right.
Like
I meant well, good to know, because I got your number saved now. So all right, well, man,
and if anyone wants his number, it's $10 if you want to.
Yeah, that's right. I'll send it out. Yeah, to anybody who asks, highest bidder. All right, man. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks.